Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Basement Surge. I recently listened to Podtastic Audio's most recent episode called Unmasking the Illusion, the Pitfalls for Paying for Fake Podcast Promotion. And I had to make an episode about this. I had to because it struck a nerve. It hit me deep. It hit me in the feels, okay? And I had to get Chris on the show because Chris is a good friend of mine. He's our resident basement podcast professional, so he knows what he's talking about. All right. Okay, if you find value from this episode and you like what you watch, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, and ring that bell. But in the meantime, I'll see you on the other side.
Let's go. Turn up the volume. From the basement of the Empire State, this is the Basement Surge.
3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Basement Surge. That's right, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me in this episode over on here on YouTube. That's right. We're not just a podcast anymore. I haven't released an audio-only version of the show. And I want to say 2 months, 3 months. I don't know. It's been a while since I did audio-only. But we are on YouTube right now. And I think that's where we're staying. So do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. You're not going to want to miss anything coming out of the basement. This episode, like I said in the pre-roll, I got my friend Chris on the show today. He's going to talk about paying for podcast promotion. What's the difference between paying for an ad on Facebook and buying something like 4,000 followers? I don't know, but we'll find out. Chris, how's it going, man?
Hey, how you guys doing out there in YouTube land? Hey, thanks, John, for inviting me over here to the Basement Surge via remotely.
Absolutely, man. You're my resident basement podcast guy.
Well, although I've only been in a basement one time. Thank you for allowing me to experience your basement over there. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but
hey, you survived.
Yeah, I did. I know, I did. I wasn't in a ditch or anything, you know.
Yeah. Oh, but man, Chris, you run a show, Podtastic Audio, where you give advice to budding podcasters, people who want to start podcasts, people who have existing podcasts who are looking for advice on what to do with their show. Whether it be how to monetize, how to promote, where do you come up with the episode ideas? You do like an episode on every single aspect of what a podcaster needs to know about podcasting. But you also run another show with your wife called the Chris and Christine Show.
That's right.
Where you just talk about life and that's great.
We'll also bring guests on too. Like someone's asked me yesterday about the show, and I was like, oh, yeah, we do talk about life and topics. The show's kind of evolved, at least the Chris and Christine Show. It's kind of evolved to where, we try to talk about things that are relevant to our lives and things going on in the world that we live in, because obviously we don't live anywhere else but here. And so we'll bring on a guest that's more focused on more about things that are better your life, career stuff. A lot of career stuff lately. It's been like, if you want to land that great job, what do you got to say at the interview? Or right. Or resume tips, or say you're unsatisfied with your job, what's a good way to maybe think about either staying or leaving? What are the best strategies for you? And everybody's different, of course, but we've had a lot of those kind of guys on. We're getting back at it. We took a little bit of a break, but we're getting back at it. Like, our calendar is so full of interviews, of guests that want to be on the show. That's and awesome. So, but yeah, we're putting a bunch of booked up, and we had to Christine had to put the brakes on. It's like, okay, no more. We're putting a stop to it for a while because we were all of a sudden got so full of guests coming on. And I'm like, oh, well, okay. But I love podcasting. Podtastic Audio has been doing great. And, Podtastic Audio started because people were asking me, on the Chris and Christine Show, they're asking me, how did you make all that wonderful stuff? How are you doing that? And I'm like, wait. you're not doing that too? Like, I thought everybody like did it this way. I thought everybody sounded great. I thought everybody.
No, believe it or not, Chris, not everybody sounds as good as we do.
Well,
Okay.
I found that out. I found that. And the thing was, I wasn't using expensive gear at the time. I actually was like doing the show. Like, I had like a generic audio interface, and then I had basic ATR microphones and basic stuff. Even before that, I was even using, I kid you not, $20 microphones I picked up on Amazon.
Oh.
And I plugged them into my computer and I figured out how to use it. It wasn't the greatest setup, but it worked, and it got us off the ground. But anyways, that's kind of what I do here, Podtastic Audio. So, well, thank you for inviting me on the show.
Anytime, man. Anytime. I like, you're in San Diego. I see the Padre flag behind you.
Yeah, that's courtesy of my stepson. This is actually the recording studio / guest bedroom / his bedroom when he is in town, but he's not in town right now. Hey, speaking of Ezekiel's a big fan of yours, buddy.
Yeah, sure is. I recently invited him on the show, and so I gotta get in touch with him.
And I sent him that video or whatever. The YouTube video you did. I sent it to him, and literally I kid you, maybe 5 minutes later at the most, he's on the phone with Christine. I hear him on FaceTime in the next room. He's on the phone with Christine. Oh my gosh! Can you believe that John from the Basement Surge wants to be on his show?
Yeah. Like hey, we make dreams come true here in the basement.
You do. I think it was part of the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Oh, yeah, but Ezekiel's nice and healthy, so he wouldn't be.
Yes,
he wouldn't be part of the Make-A-Wish.
He does stand-up comedy now.
Does he really?
Yeah, he's done like 10 shows.
No kidding.
Yeah, they're open mic shows, but he's getting better. I've heard an audio clip of his last one. He was having people videotape him, I think, in the back. But I think the last couple times he must have just got the audio. He must have put the phone, had the phone, put it on the mic recorder, set it down on somewhere near where he's doing the stand up just to get the audio of it. And I could hear a lot of laughs. That's a key too. When you're doing stand up and you're telling jokes and you hear nothing in the background but sips of their drink and maybe nothing. So I mean, to hear laughs and hear kind of that yays and things it's kind of exciting to hear that he's actually
wow.
He's working on it. He's definitely working on it.
Well, it's good because now you just gave me another topic to talk to him about.
He will go nuts on the whole comedy thing. That's his whole thing now. He loves comedians. He loves watching comedy specials. He tries to mimic a lot of their styles. And at early days, he was kind of copying some of their jokes, almost word for word. But hey, but you're starting out. You got to learn. Learn the ropes and stuff. So that's what he's kind of doing. So Christine told him hey, you know what? Try using your own material. Try finding jokes that you come up with yourself rather than copying somebody else's, or at least maybe make a spin on somebody else's joke. Take the foundation of it, but maybe spin it around a little bit with other things. It's more personal and things like that. So he's working on it. And he's doing a great job. So,
good.
Yeah.
Good. I got to get in touch with him again. We're gonna set up a day. He's gonna come on here just like you are right now, and we're gonna shoot the breeze. And,
hey, you know what? When we're in Brooklyn this June, guess what? You might want to see you in person and get a little, get a selfie or a picture or something.
Absolutely. If we do a meetup, I'm definitely down for that. We could set a day. Whether it's me and you guys, and maybe we'll get some other podcasters involved too.
Whoa!
Have one big meetup in New York City. We could definitely do that.
Out. Oh yeah, we're going to New York City in June or end of June this year. Mm-hmm. Actually, it's funny to say this year now because I always think of next year, but here we are, 2024.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, Happy New Year!
Oh, Happy New Year! Thank you. Happy New Year to you too. I literally fell asleep 20 minutes before the ball dropped, and I just woke up afterwards. I'm like, whatever.
And I think that we're starting the year out right because 2024, I think, is going to be a successful year for everybody. I've heard it was funny because I was listening. I don't remember. I think it was your last episode of Chris and Christine where you spoke about how 24 is your number.
Yes. Right? Yes.
And 24 is my number also.
So so we go to the casino and we're both playing 24 and we're like, I guess
I'm not even kidding. Okay. Because my birthday is February 24th. Right. So I've always had the number 24. Like, it's always been a lucky number for me.
That's funny because my birthday's also 24th.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, July, right?
No, October.
Oh.
I was going to say February and really throw you off, but
Oh, wait a minute.
yeah.
Yeah. So, I thought that was great that, that you and I had that in common because, I put 24 in everything,
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, man. But Chris, we are here to talk about podcasting. Okay.
Fantastic. Podcasting can be whatever you want. It can be,
it's your specialty. I know that.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, for YouTube here, the YouTubers, and like the audio or YouTube or TikTok or what is it, the other one, like, Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts. I think it's all, people can call that all of that. You can call that a podcast. They can call anything a podcast these days, really, as long as it's recorded and then viewed somewhere else or listened to somewhere else. It can be considered a podcast, but by pure definition, it has to be via an RSS feed. That is like pure definition of a podcast. But I mean, everybody calls podcasting these days. It's like,
So, you recently released an episode talking about how some people are paying for a podcast promotion.
Would you believe that nonsense, huh?
It hit a nerve in me.
Oh, no.
Chris.
Wait. Did I call you out? I'm sorry.
Like, oh, no.
Did I pull the curtain back too much or what?
No. I can safely say that the Basement Surge has never paid for followers. We've never paid for anything to try to gain an advantage on any other podcast within our industry.
No views, not paid for views, paid for
nothing.
Yeah, I heard that's a big one. Paying for views on YouTube, I heard it's a big one. Probably subscribers too. I bet you it's the same thing. You can pay for comments. I found that you can pay for comments on YouTube.
I can't believe that.
You can
reviews.
Reviews on Apple, they don't been around for a while because everybody swears like, hey, I want, I need 5 stars on Apple, So, one clue I just found out about that. If you find a show that's got like a lot of reviews on Apple, like say 1,000 or 500 reviews, and you assume the show is kind of a smaller show, not like a mega show like a Joe Rogan, but like a smaller timer show, and they got so much reviews. If you look at the reviews, I'm not sure I haven't looked into this, but I think they have dates next to them when the review was left.
Yes.
If all those 500 reviews were all done on the same day, and they're all
within the same week.
Yeah, well, same day, and then they say something like, great show, love the host, great show, great show. They're all the same, like, great show, great show, great show. That's all it is. It's like, I think you might have paid for those.
Yeah.
Because this is the odds that it's never going to happen.
Yeah, it was funny because I was listening to your episode and I was totally agreeing with everything you said. I was like, yes, give it to them. Like if you guys have not heard this episode, head on over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast.
Can't you put the link in the show notes? Can you do that?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to put the links down in the show notes, so don't worry about that.
All right.
I'll put a link to your website. I'll put a link to all your links. Don't worry about it. But like you were hitting on such specific things that podcasters can do to gain an edge on other shows, and I'm not saying that it's a race or anything or like, yes. Okay. Some shows try to be better than others, right? Like you want to be the best show that you can possibly be. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that I've proved that with Surge because everything that I know how to do as far as talent-wise, graphics, video editing, like color correction, lighting, studio work, stuff like that, I put into the show 1,000%. And the Basement Surge stands out above other shows based on quality, but we don't have the views that we should. So, and I think that relates to the quality of the content. Okay.
Which some of the views do?
Yes. So I think on YouTube or even on podcasts, on audio only versions, it's really important that the topics of the content grab the attention of the audience. You can have the flashiest looking show,
of course,
or the best sounding show, but if your content is shit, nobody's gonna listen.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, 100%. It's 100%. That's like, yeah, you have to have a reason. I mean, everybody says, content is king, content. That is true, but also, just equally as important, you also do have the flashy stuff and the great stuff too, because you could have a great show. I mean, I would say a great content of a show, but if you're doing it like literally on an iPhone 3 from 5 feet away in a tunnel, and it's
if you're doing it like this, with the phone.
Well, not just that, it's just, or even worse, you're doing on a couple walkie-talkies you found from the World War II or something, and you're trying to and then in the first 10 minutes of the show, or even 30 minutes of the show, it's like, I don't know, Joe, what do you want to talk about? I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about? I don't know. Hey,
I have heard shows like that, and it blows my mind. Like, why are you doing this?
Well, because they can. That's basically that's the answer. That's all there is to it. Because they can, And what the sad part is, what gets me is the shows that before they say anything or they even start talking about what they're going to talk about. Hey, Joe. Oh, hey, I forgot to mention. Hey, you guys need to subscribe to us on Patreon right now. Give us $20 and a 5-star review. Anyways, back to me and Joe deciding what we're going to talk about. I don't know.
Oh man, back to me and my wife arguing about what's for dinner, and
that could be a podcast. It's What's for Dinner podcast, sponsored by Chef Boyardee.
I think right. I honestly think that everybody and their mother tries to be a podcaster, especially during the pandemic when the pandemic first hit. Right, everybody jumped on the bandwagon, so to speak, and. Yeah, it's a lot of those shows that have started back then, they're not around anymore because people realize that running a podcast is work. Okay.
Well, everything. If you think of every angle of the podcast, let's start from the very beginning. Let's start with the idea of the podcast. Like, figure out what you're going to talk about and find a way to keep that show consistent for X amount of episodes, more than 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah.
and also. You got to come up with graphic work, artwork. If you do any kind of show notes or any kind of show prep, maybe you do an outline, that kind of stuff. And then it gets fun with the actual physical recording. Like, okay, how are we going to do this? Are we going to do this like remotely? Are you going to be here in the same room with me? Are we going to, okay, if we're doing the same room, what kind of gear are we going to get? What kind of microphones are we going to get? Are we going to do camera work? Okay. Right. Are we doing multiple camera work? Okay, who's going to edit all that stuff? Where's it going to go? Who's going to put stuff together? And when that's all done, let's just say it's all done already, then you got to figure out a way to get people to listen. Just because you made something, just because you spent, $10,000 or whatever on all kinds of gear and stuff, doesn't mean anyone's going to listen. Don't guarantee anyone's going to listen to any of that stuff. So you have to put out an amazing show. And just because you think it's great, or let's take us back here. Just because you spent all this time on it doesn't mean it's great either. So, I spent 10 hours on this episode. Yeah. Well, I took an hour. I was an hour for the bathroom. Doesn't mean I was, you know what I mean? Oh, there's a little something. But I mean, it doesn't mean that, anything's possible. So that's where marketing comes in handy. You really got to be a good marketer. Right. And marketing is something that I've always struggled with myself. And because people don't want to put in good marketing into their show, like good resources and good tips and tricks and strategies, and like even listen. But before you even get to the marketing, you have to have a good show in the first place. And I think people skip that part. They go straight from I just hit record. I'm done sending it out, like no editing, by the way, just send it out. And then we go jumping straight into the Patreon, or jumping straight into the Buy Me a Coffee, or jumping straight into
give me some money. Yeah.
Right. It's like, well, did you even check to see if it's any good? That's what every podcaster, even YouTuber, anything, if they're serious about their content, if they're dead serious about growing a show, no matter what kind of show it is, if you're serious about it, you have to have somebody actually do an audit on your stuff. And this person can't be mom, it can't be your brother, it can't be your cousin. It's got to be somebody that you are either paying or somebody that's got no vetted interest in you at all. Like, they don't care if you succeed or not. You want someone like that to physically go over your stuff and say, hey, you can do this better, you can do that better, what's up with this, what's up with that. And the harsh truth is that nobody wants to hear that. They don't want to hear that. Even if they say they do, they really don't. Because I've made the mistake too. I was reviewing shows And I've actually heard a few crap shows, and I just told them in a nice way, your show is like, underwater, seawater. Like you drop the mic. Do you drop the microphone underwater?
Your show sounds like crap. Yeah.
It's got literally took 40 minutes to get to the point to the start of the show. And then it was a horrible mess. And I was trying to be nice about it. And they were pissed. They were like so mad, like, screw you. What do you know? And all that, and I'm like, gosh, maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I shouldn't review shows. Maybe it's without charging, maybe I get my money's worth.
Well, yeah. But then you have the people who want to just have fun with it. They don't look at it like a business. They don't think that's really going to go anywhere. They're literally just doing it as a hobby.
Yeah, totally. Nothing wrong with that.
And that's great. That's totally fine. But I think that your episodes are more geared towards the more serious podcaster. The podcast that really is trying to make something of itself, trying to, push the envelope and, trying to make the best show that they could possibly make.
Right. If you're going to attract, like, say, advertisers or sponsors or anything, or even new clients, for example, like, if you're trying to attract those things to your show and those are the listeners you want because you want to sell them something. You made the comment I was saying about like the fake followers, about if you have fake followers, it's what I say, something like it's you can't monetize nothing, or you can't monetize fake followers by fake things or something like that. So
right.
Yeah. So I think that if you're going to do that, I mean, my show has always started off as for like the hobby guy that wanted to take it up a notch above the webcam microphone or Blue Yeti microphone,
Blue Yetis. You know what? I'm just going to lay it out right now. If you're starting a podcast and you're brand new to this, do not get a Blue Yeti. Just don't.
Well, you can get a better microphone, like the Samsung Q2U. I bought one for my client. I paid $60 for it, $70 for it, which is literally almost half the price of a Blue Yeti. And
right now you're using the pod mic. That's a perfect.
Yeah, but the pod mic requires an interface. And so if you're someone who's like brand new, it's got just a computer, just imagine they just have a laptop. That's all they got. Yeah. Right. So if you got a laptop, it's all you got to start with. You're going to need a USB microphone. So I know the stupid Blue Yeti is a USB microphone. So that's why everybody goes for it. They can plug it into whatever. So if you're going strictly the USB mic route, if you had some money, I would get the PodMic USB. It looks just like this, but it runs on both USB and XLR. So you can plug that thing into a computer. You can plug it into a mixer. You can do both with it. And I heard it sounds like really, really good. It's got features built into the microphone that actually enhance the audio in the microphone, regardless of a mixer or not.
Right.
So I'm like, that's some new technology right there, because most microphones, you plug in, you talk, and you got to do all the enhancing on the other side. This microphone does it all in-house, which I think is great. Yeah. It's $200. So I know some people are like, $200 is a lot of money. Well, a Rodecaster is like $700 or something like that. So, I mean, most decent microphones are going to run you somewhere in the $100 range. I would say on up. So, I know that the Shure SM7B's got a new microphone out. You've seen that one? It's the SM7B DB.
Yes.
It's got a power boot or a fathead or whatever you call it, some kind of enhancer
built cloud lifter.
Yeah, into the line to boost the actual unit, which I think it's an extra $100.
Which is surprising because with the SM7B, I'm supposed to be using a cloud lifter connected to the Rodecaster, but I'm not.
How are you getting it? So is your signal lower than it should be?
Higher.
You have to boost yours up quite a bit to get the volume.
My gain is up. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I boost mine up too on here. It is supposed to have better gain on this Rodecaster too, but I have the adjustment so I can crank it a little higher. So on this mic, I cranked it to like 52 dBs on here and have it set to whatever there's a line. I don't know if yours got a little line. Mine's got a line on the actual faders where it's supposed to be at. So I just put it to that line, and that's all I ever do. I put it to the line and whatever. The nice thing about having decent editing skills is that you still can take audio and still tweak it and adjust it. And if someone's coming in louder than another, that's another thing that really kind of bothered me at first with the whole the pandemic shows and different shows, even shows that had decent microphones. The audio levels are all over the place. One guy would be a little loud, one guy would be really quiet, and third guy would be off. And you could totally tell that, oh, these three guys are like on different planets, for God's sakes. They don't even sound like they're even, and my goal from the Chris Christine show, from tinkering with this stuff, is trying to get everybody at least balanced. The sound, I mean, even though we're not in the same room, at least sound like we're in the same room, at least sound like we're on good equipment, like all of us, even if they're not. That's always been the goal. So, but going back to you're saying about the, paying for different, things and paying for fake stuff, surprisingly, I would have to say this is happening more often than not. And that you and me and anybody listening right now or watching right now probably know somebody, or maybe you yourself has paid for some kind of promotion stuff. And I'm not talking about like paying for like advertising your show on another show. I'm not talking about that, or paying for like Instagram ads or, Twitter ads or whatever they call it these days. I'm talking about actually paying a company that says, you pay us money, we promise we'll give you 5,000 followers on Instagram, 50,000 views on YouTube, and 100,000 plays of your podcast in the next month or whatever they promise you. And there's a big tier of like different price points you want to pay, and I've seen it go up to like $100 or $200 for a package for these things. And I've heard of people doing this kind of stuff on YouTube, just to kind of like get their show rolling, just thinking that maybe they'll get more, like almost a snowball effect. Like think if you start off with like a couple thousand, 100,000 views on something, it'll snowball and hopefully get more. But I don't know if it really works that way. I've never tried it. No,
I don't think so.
No. So like, say for example, if this video here, let's just say you paid for 100,000 views on this video right here, you don't think the next one would have a bunch because this one had a bunch?
No, because all those views and like maybe 5 to 10% of that would actually translate to actual subs. Okay. And, a lot of those subs probably won't even care the next time I drop a video. You know, so, and then by the time I drop another video, they'll probably unsubscribe anyway. So
while I was doing some research about this, I did find out, especially with the Instagram one, and because Instagram is based on followers and likes and comments. So it's basically, that's kind of the three pillars with anything really, this stuff. It's the views, the likes, and the comments. So a combination of all three is what you really need to kind of like get the algorithm flowing. But a lot of these services, they'll sell you, say, just the followers. That's great. Followers aren't going to like stuff because they just did their following and that's all they did, right? You paid for that batch of people or whatever it is. Yeah. And so what they have to do is they upsell you. I heard this. They upsell you the likes, right?
Right.
And then what happens is that, there's no engagement, because a lot of social media is based on engagement. So when a social media post goes out, like I've done this myself, it's like if I put a post out and nobody says anything, nothing really happens. But the more, like say 1 or 2 people start liking it or resharing it, or at least liking it, more people start jumping it, following in. So I think the way it works is that the algorithm sees that, oh, this post is getting some kind of an engagement. Let's go show it out to more people.
Right. So if you think that we're wrong, do me a favor, go down in the comments and leave us a comment.
There you go. Yeah. That's how it works. But so what happens is that it's all based on like, comments and likes and engagement. It's basically what it's based on. So if you paid for 5,000 fake people to follow you that are never, ever, ever gonna
there's no engagement.
There's no. They're not gonna like your stuff. They're not gonna. They're not gonna. Comment on your stuff. So that's why they have up tier packages that you can pay for, where people do. They will like your stuff and they will comment on your stuff. And what they'll do is that if you notice, the comments will be totally generic stuff like great, or even worse. I heard this too, because I honestly do this myself, is that they will just do emojis as the comments. And I do that on Instagram because I'm super lazy. Because like I'll just like see a post I like and I'll go to like the keyboard and like the emoji thingies right there. I'll just do like a thumbs up or a smiley face or a laugh or whatever. Like double tap that, so whatever. But they say that's a sign of a bot though, because bots because that's all they, it's it. So,
I heard that the algorithm, you actually have to write, if you're doing comments like that, you actually have to write more than 3 words within the comment.
Oh, really? Yeah, so 4 words gets you more. It actually triggers the algorithm that this is a real person, not a. Right. I guess that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think for me though, I noticed that on the bigger posts, like the bigger companies that are posting with like each post gets like, thousands of comments or whatever, So that's the ones I might post a couple of emojis or whatever on. But the smaller shows, I will try to get in there and try to say something cute and fun and something or other on there. Something relevant, obviously, to the post, not like, look at me over here, which I've always kind of wondered about that too. Some of those comments, if you look at the comments on some of those massive companies or massive posts that like, they'll post something, they'll have like 1,000 comments, right? And you scroll through those comments, a lot of them are like people trying to promote their own stuff within the comments. I wonder if that's like a marketing strategy to jump on that. Now, I've tried that on LinkedIn a few times, and let me tell you, I've been
you have not had any luck on LinkedIn.
I have to go check to see if my account's still over there. I don't even know. I've been kicked off LinkedIn like 5 times, and it's for like, I would like, because with LinkedIn you have the followers and then you have like the connections. Yeah. So when you're a connection with somebody, you can directly message somebody. So when I get connected with people, I would directly message them. Hey, I do podcasting. When you're looking for a podcast for your business, here's a link to me or whatever, blah, 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 whatever. Kept it very simple, very friendly. But then I would do that message, copy and paste that message to everybody in my connection thing. And then I think that's what happened with LinkedIn is they like, wait a sec, you're spamming, you're too much or whatever. And they kicked me.
You're a bot.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. I had to give my license, my ID, my firstborn child, all kinds of stuff to get my account back. And then it got kicked off again. Then it happened, I think it happened like 3 or 4 times it's happened. So I'm kind of like laying low on LinkedIn right now. Like I'll post on there, but I'm not going to be like heavily invested. And I think LinkedIn, like you even said this too, LinkedIn is more for like corporate and businesses and like resume sharing and business.
In my experience, yeah.
Well, even the stuff people post on there, it's more of like, it's all, maybe because I'm following companies, but a lot of the stuff is all company based stuff. Like, our company did this in 2023. Hurrah, hurrah for us! Or
I got a new job, or I got a promotion.
Yes. A lot of that kind of stuff. So, but
I think if your podcast is not about business, then you don't have any business being on LinkedIn. So,
right. I mean, but I was thinking of another social media platform, and I was looking to kind of expand my business by doing that because I was trying the dreaded like cold emails out to everybody that, and a lot of almost like 90% of them are getting kicked back with like, what is that like Google Gmail like not flag, but it's like when it doesn't get just undelivered or whatever it did. I get a bunch of those and stuff. And
well, that's why you're getting banned and put in jail on LinkedIn.
Oh, I don't know. But I think I don't know. Marketing's not my thing. I'm not a marketing guy. I don't know. I'm more of a creator. So.
Well, and see, I think that's perfect because like you are the type of person who would, I'm not saying you have, but I'm saying like you're not the marketing person. So you would be that person to buy the ads on Facebook and be the person to maybe, spend a little money on some, extra curricular content. Actually extra boost of that content.
Now, before anybody gets all crazy and excited and trying to, buy, I'm going to boost my new episode. I'm going to spend for an ad and do it. Before you even get carried away with that crazy nonsense, before you do that, why don't you see what's any good first?
Is your audio good? Number one.
Is your content good?
Is your content good?
Is the show any good? I mean, does it? Well, you got to think about this too. Like I kept thinking about this too, and I'm trying to figure out new ideas for Podtastic Audio, and I've made a lot of mistakes myself. Like horrible episode titles, horrible show description. That's a big one too. Artwork or lack of artwork, or I think a lot of it is the show. Or show titles and show like I've gone through a particular person's podcast. I can mention names, but I think I know what I'm talking about. And I was going through their list of shows, and they just display the name of the guest. And maybe they're an author, maybe they're an actor, but what does that tell me listening? Like, why am I going to push play? Like, why? You got to think about the listener or viewer. They're very selfish. Like they don't give a crap about you. They want to know is what you did, what you created, I'm either going to enjoy or learn from. And so you got to make sure that with your title, with your graphics, with your thumbnail for YouTube. That's why the thumbnails of YouTube are so elaborately well done, and they look really good.
There's a formula to that, which I'm not going to get into on this episode.
No,
but there is a formula for the YouTube thumbnail.
Yeah, basically means you want to make sure that they click on it. get them to click on it. But if your thumbnail was a blank white nothing and said your show name in the middle, I don't know. Right. I mean, I don't know if anyone's going to click on that, or if it's the same thing over and over again. So you have to find new ways that not only will get other people to click on your show, but maybe test it with yourself first and see, would I click on that thing, or at least throw your show or throw your thing out mixed in with other shows, just like YouTube does with all the other thumbnails, and see like, well, of all those things in that group there, which one are you going to immediately go to first? And if yours isn't on that idea of like, oh, that looks better. Oh, that looks good. Oh, that looks good. You know, so I was looking at that. I was like, yeah, I mean, I made the mistakes too of doing all that kind of stuff. And like having one word, like show episode titles, or titles where it's like update and the date. And my client show was doing that for a while. I was like,
I think we've all done that. Yeah.
It's like, that doesn't tell me anything. It literally tells me nothing, because you got to think about, you got to have, it's almost like clickbait. You got to figure reason why someone's going to click on the show in the first place.
Yeah. You know, and it was funny because I was listening to your episode, and you touch on some really great points about why a podcast should not be paying for followers or paying for reviews. Or,
which one's your favorite of the ones I mentioned?
Well, see, there's one you didn't mention.
Okay, which one was it? I only had a limited space. I couldn't put everything on there. Which one was it?
That I think is very important, okay? Because you were doing the episode from like the aspect of like looking at it kind of business minded, right? Where it's not smart to do it like this. You should do it like this. But I think you missed a really big, important one in the podcast community. Okay. Because I remember when I started Surge, the podcast community was amazing. Okay. Like, you started a podcast, everybody was there trying to help each other out. Okay. Especially like there's a huge podcast community on Instagram. There's an even bigger podcast community on Twitter. Okay. Or X, or whatever the hell you want to call it. You know, so when I started Surge, there were so many podcasts around that were willing to help each other out and come on each other's show just to you know, work through your kinks and get your show, you know, ironed out. And you know, so for me, the podcast community is really personal. You know, like I have vested interest into the community, and it means a lot. You know, and I think that if you're paying for followers and you're paying for all this extra stuff like reviews and all that, you know, downloads and all that, like, I think it's a little shameful. And I have unsubscribed from shows that I've known that have done this, you know, and I want to say it's like maybe less than a handful.
But how did you know they did this? Did they tell you?
Because they told me.
Oh, yeah. Okay. But I don't think anyone, I always kind of wonder, people are keeping this kind of on their, you know, it's like behind closed doors. Like, they're not going to like obviously say this out in public. They would never say this. So you must have been close enough with these people for them to actually tell you personally. Cause I don't think they would just all of a sudden say this out in the open, you know?
Right. Yeah. No, I don't think it's anything you really want to admit to, because
it's like cheating.
You know, you want to look as big as you possibly can to the audience, but in the end, it's like, you know, you're only hurting yourself, kind of. You know what I mean?
Right. Totally. You know, and I know that there are programs in place looking to kind of, you know, curb this kind of stuff, especially on social media and maybe even YouTube too. I mean, I don't know the analytics side of YouTube that much, but you know, I'm sure that the thing that always got me with this stuff is if your audience finds out who thought they trusted you, they thought they're not going to believe anything you say. They're not going to believe
Right.
a word you say. They're not going to believe anything you do. They're not. They will probably most likely, like you did, unsubscribe, unfollow, block, delete. See you later. I don't care. You know, you're a fraud. You're a fake. You're a phony. It's almost like what was it? Was it Milli Vanilli back in the day? It was caught for lip singing.
You get blacklisted, you know? Like,
Right. All right. It's basically kind of the same thing, but I also hear the side of the podcaster that does this. I also hear from them saying like, well, I'm never going to get ahead. I need to get ahead. And this is my ticket to get ahead.
make a better show.
Well, I think a lot of like the illustration I used in the very beginning of the episode talking about the race is that like you're basically paying to start the last mile of the race versus the starting line. And here I am starting the starting line and I'm running, you know, I've been training my whole life to do this and you just jump in and want to start at the very end because you paid or whatever.
It makes you mad, right?
It makes
Screw you, you know?
100%, you know,
Yeah.
it's a form of it's cheating and it's core. It's basically what it is. You're cheating the system to gain gain an advantage, but.
And you're just fooling yourself because, you know, you may not have those followers because your show is shit.
Right.
You know?
Right. But you're claiming you've got 10,000 followers to your show, but in reality you've got, 100 or even less than that. Yeah, or even less than that. And and the thing is too is it all goes back to your why. Like, why are you physically creating the show? If you're having fun with your show, if it's just a hobby, totally fun, don't care. But if it is a hobby and it is fun for you, then you should not care about the numbers. The numbers should not matter. The only reason numbers really even matter, statistics, views, any of that stuff even matters if you were going to try to draw a sponsor or an ad. That's the only reason. Those are the only people that give a crap about your numbers are the guys going to pay you for something or maybe even a big time guest. Sometimes they like to see your numbers too. Like I've had a guest, they said, "Oh, what's your numbers?" and stuff like that. So sometimes they only will go on shows that are like quote unquote bigger or whatever. So I can see where somebody would, fluff their numbers just to get that particular guest on their show because they never would any other way. But it's still shady business because now you got say you got Steven Spielberg to come on your show because you claim you've got 2 million downloads an episode because you paid him or who knows what. And he comes on and, you're basically lying. Now you're wasting his time. I mean, time is money. And somebody like Steven Spielberg, his time's very valuable. You don't want to waste it, but go on your knucklehead show because, you lied to the poor guy, think about I know you're paying for downloads, you're paying for followers, but they're paying with their time to be there on your stupid show. So I charge my time pretty valuable. I mean, thank you so much for flipping the bill on this tonight. I really appreciate this, but I charge over $100 an hour to show up on shows. So the clock is ticking. But I'm saying
and with that, everybody, it's I'll see you next week.
But also that's another thing too is that what happens too is that another workaround, what people do is that sometimes I heard guests will do this is that I was joking, but seriously, guests will charge to go on other shows. And sometimes it's into the thousands, and hundreds of thousands and even more and stuff. But if you really want, because it's their time.
And you know what? I can understand that. If you're a celebrity.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, celebrity status. Yeah, or even big time coaches or big time, say, I guess they're all celebrities. If you get to a certain level, yes, they're all celebrities. Even somebody like Tony Robbins, who I wouldn't see he's not like a television star, but I would see him as a celebrity, type. So I'm sure he charges.
I'm a celebrity. Just ask Ezekiel.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He told me, he wants your autograph, by the way, in a picture, and he wants all kinds of stuff. So, man,
I'll take headshots. And
he was so excited. My goodness, man. When the great John from the Basement Surge, my goodness, and it's funny when we're driving my truck. Side story, on my Apple CarPlay, if you go into the messages, it says all the recent messages. It has the name. Has John from the Basement Surge on there? Because he texted me last. That's what he said on there. So
I talk to him every day. Whatever.
but yeah, I think also too. I was thinking this too is that celebrities, they kind of get a pass that I think a lot of us amateur podcasters kind of are envious of. The celebrity podcast shows can literally start their show with 5 minutes of ads and we deal with it, right? Mm-hmm. Or the celebrity podcaster comes in and talks about how horrible their latte was made at Starbucks this morning for like 30 minutes or whatever, or something along those lines. And we deal with it because they're celebrities, right? But then when us little amateur podcasters and try to do the same thing, we
got to get right into it.
Well, not just that. It's just that like the listener's like, well, you're not famous. You're not important. I mean, I'm only here for your content. You're not going to get to the content and peace out, So that's something else you got to worry about. But going back to paying for things and paying for subscribers and downloads and all that stuff. I heard about that stuff a few years ago and I was like, really? People actually do that? And what got me was a story that I shared on the podcast was that I heard from another podcaster. They posted this on, I think it was Instagram or somewhere they posted it. And they were saying that about how they were paying for ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts from one of those shady like promoter places. And for whatever reason, they either stopped paying or maybe they switched to another promoter guy or something. But anyways, the original promoter started writing all kinds of hate mail on their Apple Podcast feed, like in their comment. Yeah, writing. I'm sure it happens on YouTube also. Anywhere you can leave comments, I'm sure it happens. But I think the ones at Apple is like the worst because you can't remove that. Or can you remove that? I don't think you can.
No. I don't think you can. I mean, I've never tried because I've always gotten good reviews.
Right, so. But I was kind of curious about that. I was kind of wondering because that would be like if you really hated somebody, you could go in there 1 star and say this show's crap or whatever, they suck.
Right.
And you can totally do that. Not that I would do that, but I'm saying like that could be something.
You might be able to dispute it, I think. I think there's a dispute process, but like deleting it? No, I don't think so.
No, but can you do that on YouTube for comments? And you can now have comments.
Yeah, YouTube, I think you can hide the comments or something.
All
like that,
the comments. But I mean, like, say for one for particular, say one.
Yeah.
Oh, so one comment came in that was like all these great comments for this show, and then one comment was horrible. Can you hide that one?
Right, but yes, you can. But you know what? You have to look at comments. Like, Apple Podcasts aside with the reviews, like even on Instagram, Twitter, even on YouTube. All right, if you're getting hateful comments or spammy comments, leave them. Okay. Because all the algorithm cares about, it doesn't care that it's good or bad. It just cares that it's interaction. Okay.
That is true. So it'll push it out to more people, right?
So it pushes it out to more people. So don't delete the comments. I mean, yeah, unless it's like really hateful and really hurtful, then delete it. But if, somebody says, I have gotten so many hateful comments
no way.
on the review video that I did of Chad Smith playing 30 Seconds to Mars.
Right.
Okay. And people were ripping on me for not knowing the facts behind the video before I actually reacted to it, which is bullshit because I just didn't say anything. So whatever. But I left them. I left all the negative comments.
And didn't that video do like very well for you? Like
the video went viral.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like maybe it helped push it along, and that's why the more comments come in. I think what happens with any of this kind of stuff, the more interaction you get, even if it's a couple of comments or a couple of likes, just a few things, it trickles out to a few more, then it trickles out to a few more, and the next thing you know, you're getting snowballed, and you're just. It's more. Absolutely. It's like my son with his YouTube channel. I can't believe he hasn't quite hit $2,000 yet, but he's like I think 1.77 or 1.78 on followers.
I still can't believe that.
Yeah, I know. I know. And he hasn't made any videos in a while, but that one video that triggered it got like over 10K in the first like a day.
That's crazy.
So, but I said, I don't know the algorithm. I don't know how it all works. It's sometimes you get hooked into it and you get lucky and then you get a few more followers and a few more things, but it's
that's why I say even if you get bad comments, leave them.
But what if you get bad comments on Apple reviews? What are you supposed to do with that? Because you can't delete it. So what do you do?
I think you can either like report it, like if it's hateful or something, then you can report it, or if you don't agree with it, or if you don't want it visible to other people.
There's probably plenty of shows that suck that don't agree with everything that's honest about their show.
Well, then you could probably dispute it. I think So you put like a ticket into Apple. Saying, can you please remove this?
They'll get right on that. Yeah,
yeah sure.
I mean, that's why I think Apple Podcast, everybody swears by, leave me a review on Apple Podcasts. Now, Apple themselves has come out and they've said that ratings and reviews have no bearing on whether or not you're going to be on the top of the Apple charts. They are not tied together at all. The only way to get on the top of Apple charts is if a show has multiple plays within so many amount of days. Like if they have all of a sudden
in the first week within release. Yeah.
Yeah. If they have got like a big surge of people coming to the show all at one time in the week or whatever it is, helps push that up the charts. That's what I heard. So ratings and reviews has nothing to do with it. Although I did hear that ratings and reviews on Apple does help your Listen Notes score.
Okay.
So because you think about Listen Notes score, the rankings, the world global rankings. So your Listen Notes score, it's you've checked yours out, I've checked mine out. Everybody checks their Listen Notes score out, and it's basically if you're better than the top 10% of all shows that have ever existed, even dead ones. Which
the Basement Surge is top 5%.
There you go. That's what I'm saying. Top 5.
Put it out there.
Right. So you got to, so basically, some people hate the Listen Notes. I look at it as a guide. It's not pure science, but basically they can't see your physical downloads. Nobody really can unless you, the host. So I was kind of wondering where they get those numbers from. It's got to be from everything else. It's got to be from your social media posts. It's got to be from your reviews on Apple. It's got to be from if you got reviews on Spotify.
They're probably pulling stats from so many different data points. So.
Or whatever they can pull from, because like I said, the actual host stuff that is within your media host, usually it's pretty locked tight. That stuff's not public. Trust me, I've been trying to find out particular podcasters' download numbers, because I kind of think they might be pulling a rug. They've been they're not quite on the.
You never know. I mean, people are paying for followers, so you never know what they're lying about with the stats. So
that is very true. So I was kind of wondering if there's a way to find out that stuff. There's a company I did find out that, of course, like anything else, you got to pay for it, right? Saying that they can uncover any show stats, any show stuff, and all this other kind of stuff. And I think what they're trying to target this stuff for, like I said earlier, it's all about if you are a company and you're going to do business with X podcast, you want to know if that podcast really does have 100,000 followers. You really want to know.
Sure.
You're paying real money to advertise on that show. So if you're going to pay money, you want to know your money went. It's just like anything else. I mean, if you're paying for something, you want the product. You want to know what you're paying for.
Yeah.
And they should have right to know. And a lot of them do. I think a lot of them, if you probably know this, if you ever went to like some of these like advertising companies that do advertising for podcasts, they'll say on their website, how many downloads do you have? What's your RSS feed?
Right. But I'm pretty sure that before anybody gets into a monetary agreement with anybody, like sponsorships or affiliate work, they do an audit.
Well, they should. I mean, I think during like during the Joe Rogan got a bunch of money days, and Spotify was throwing money left and right, everything else. Maybe they weren't doing audits like they should, like they were throwing big money on like celebrity brand shows. Like, what was it? The Meghan Markle and Prince, what's his name show. They got canceled. Remember that show? They threw a bunch of money at that show and stuff, and they couldn't deliver anything. So just because someone's a celebrity doesn't mean their show's any good.
That's right. Absolutely. Totally agree. But Chris, I asked on social media, I asked a couple of people within Surge Nation on Facebook what they thought the future of podcasting is. Okay. Let's take a look at what they said.
Okay.
The future of podcasting. Yes, I think we're going to revert back to blogging. It's just podcasting is really not working out. It's videos. It's going to videos. It's going to be like live videos 24/7. Just constant. That's where it's going.
Now, would you agree with that?
Well, I would. Unfortunately, like the thing about I love video, I love audio, I love it all. I love everything. Unfortunately, we can't consume everything at the same time. Although we try to. My kids try to, obviously, I think.
Right.
I think it just depends where you are, like for some people, if they're at a desktop all day at their computer in their office or whatever, of course they get the visual thing. If you're running around, maybe if you're doing deliveries and you're a Uber driver or something like that, audio is going to be more your thing. So, but then at the end of the day, it's you mentioned, live streaming type stuff. you're describing like the local news. You're describing like television. You're describing, I mean, they've been doing this for, I don't know how long TV's been around, but it's nothing new. I mean, that format of like things coming live to your little box with pictures on it, that's been around for a while.
Well, let's see what Jeff's got to say.
The future of podcasting feels like this. All the big money, all the big names, everything's being funneled into the brands and the corporations, and it feels like the indie podcasters are going to be left with the clips and the reels and the TikToks of the world, if they want to try and pop off.
Yeah, I do agree. I think it's much easier to, if you're going to do video for like a podcast and stuff, I think where video really shines the best, at least for us indie podcasters, is gotta be the TikToks, the reels, the short form video. You know, like as well as I know that if you go on your Instagram reels, I would say that for numbers based, the numbers that you get on the reels are probably much higher than the numbers you get on the video, like the full length videos. Would you say?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree.
So like if you did like a 2 minute or 1 minute reel versus a 30-minute regular video, that reel is going to do more, even if it's the same show, same exact thing.
The same thing goes for YouTube Shorts. You know, YouTube Shorts.
Yeah.
Right. So you make a YouTube short that's like less than a minute about, conversation or a funny clip during an episode, and you would hope that it would bring the audience back to the full length, long form content on your channel, right? So one of the best strategies I think to do that is on your YouTube short, in the comments, put the link to the long form video from where that clip is from. Okay. And pin it and pin it to the top.
You can pin comments on YouTube?
Yes.
Just like you can on Twitter X, you can pin same thing. Yes. Dude, I'm so out of loop. Dude, I haven't made a YouTube video in a while, but like I don't even last YouTube video that actually got a ton of comments I had. Gosh, how long ago was it? It was some car stuff I was doing, like a car I had, and I got a video asking me a question, what kind of setup did I have, what kind of gear did I have, and stuff like that. But I forgot about pinning comments. So can you pin somebody else's comment or only your comment?
Yeah, you can pin anything you want.
Oh well, check you out, man.
We got one more video here. Let's see what Larry Roberts has to say.
What's up, everybody? Larry Roberts here. John had asked me to do a video about what I thought the future of podcasting looked like. And I think it looks like this right here. It's video content. More and more people are consuming podcasts on YouTube than any other platform out there. So take the time, create some video, and grow your show.
See, and I think that Larry's got the right thing, the right idea, because YouTube now has a podcast section, right?
Yeah, I haven't messed with it too much. From what I hear, it's basically, I know they aren't becoming a media host, are they?
No. So
well, I guess they are.
The Basement Surge is a podcast on YouTube. Okay. Like it's technically classified as a podcast. We take advantage of that classification, and it does not get distributed to Apple Podcasts, to Spotify.
Okay, right.
It's not like a standard RSS.
So it's like a one-stop shop, right?
Right. So YouTube is more interested in keeping people on the platform.
That's what they do better than almost anybody else, other than maybe TikTok. I heard they're pretty good at that stuff too. But YouTube is very good at keeping you there because
you know what, I think that's the same for basically every platform. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter.
Every visual platform.
Well, even Twitter.
Well, it's a visual platform.
Twitter and Instagram and basically every platform, every social media platform. They want you to stay.
Of course they do.
On their platform.
That's how they make the money.
They want it, that retention rate has to go up.
Okay? Yeah, we are the product. If it's free, we are the product. It's not the video, your whatever and stuff like that. But what I was going to say with like say Apple Podcasts or Spotify, things like that, at least Apple Podcasts anyways, you're only going to see things. Well, now they've kind of redid the app, but for the most part, like in your subscriptions, you're only going to see stuff that you subscribe to. Yeah. With me, I'm subscribed to probably 150 different shows on YouTube, but I rarely see those shows. I see whatever I watched last, things that are similar to what I watched last gets dumped in my feed. The things I subscribe to, Once in a while, they'll trickle in too. For the most part, it's like, oh, you like these kind of videos? Here are all these. Here you go. Here's the rest of them. Here's a bunch of other videos.
Right.
And then you kind of like start tricking.
You go down the rabbit hole. Yeah.
Right. Before you know it, you're like, oh, maybe I'll subscribe to this one. I'll subscribe to that one. So if I like something, I'll hit subscribe to it. That's why I have so many, like 150 of them. But back in the day, they would actually only show you only what you subscribe to. And then if you want to search for something, you could, but you only subscribe, whatever you subscribe to was only on your page. And now it's like the things you subscribe to aren't on your page. Like they're on a little column somewhere, and like
you have to look for them. Yeah.
Right. So it's like, I subscribe to them so I don't have to look for them.
Right.
That's the whole point. So it's kind of like one of those kind of deals too. So that's why that's one thing I don't like about YouTube is that like they want to keep you there because it's their whole thing. And I always kind of fear like putting everything into one place, whether it's one social media, one, I dated a girl a long time ago, and she's all on the Facebook, and she's telling me like she had all these pictures, but she was saving them directly to the Facebook account or whatever it was. I said, do you think it's a good idea to have all your pictures, all your kids' pictures, your baby pictures, like all of that in one, like it's all there. Oh, it's all on Facebook. Don't worry, it's all on Facebook. I would have hard copies of that somewhere else. I mean, just in case, because you just never know what can happen. They could go down. You could, your account could get blocked. You could lose your password. I mean, so many things can happen if you put your faith into one spot. Like when I save stuff, I save it in multiple places. I have multiple things going on because I want to make sure that if something, heaven forbid, something were to happen here or there, I still have access to things. And that's one thing I worry about with YouTube. I don't know if did I do an episode on? I was gonna do an episode on this. I don't know if I did or not. It was on people that actually got banned, like even big names that have got like if you can look at this up, like the biggest names of YouTubers that have been permanently banned from YouTube, and they had millions of followers, like lots of followers. So I was thinking like I used to always think that like, well, if I'm making YouTube a ton of money, what do they care? Like if I'm bringing in a bunch of eyeballs, what do they care if I, whatever, I can do whatever I want. But obviously not, because there's some big names that have gotten banned, and once you're banned, you're off. Like you lose not only your followers, your subscribers, your everything. You also lose your money if you're getting paid, obviously.
Right. And you know what, Chris? I think that goes back to the original premise of this episode, is that if you're paying for followers, if you're paying for subs, if you're paying for comments and reviews, and the platform finds out, you're going to get banned. That's right. Okay? And that's no place somebody wants to be. Nobody wants to be in the, banned from anything. Because then it's like, party's over. It's like they pulled the plug, your whole fun house. That's it. No more. But you know what? Basement Surge is staying here on YouTube. Okay. I am laser focused on creating video content for over here on YouTube. So if you like the content, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Chris, thank you very much. I'm trying to trigger the little thumb thing. I don't know where it went to. It disappeared. I don't know. Thumbs up. It worked a minute ago. I don't happen. I don't know what I have to do to get it to work, but I don't know. Chris, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you? You can find me at podtasticaudio.com. You go on over there. I got everything you wanted to know. Got all my social media stuff. I've got obviously episodes. You actually can play the episodes right there on the website. No app required. What? Check that out. Very easy. Makes it very simple. Awesome. Chris, thank you very much for coming on the show today. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. All right, everybody. If you want more Basement Surge content, do me a favor. Search around the channel. Take a look around, okay? Because there's a whole crap load of stuff that I've put out over the past 5 years. That's right, 5 years. Basement Surge is coming up on our 5th birthday. That's right. February 7th, I believe, is the Basement Surge's 5th birthday. We're going to be 5. That's big time in tech space. That's like, yeah. I mean, how long has Twitter been around? I don't know. Longer than that, but not much longer. So, right. There you go. So if you love the Basement Surge and you want to say a happy birthday, you can send us a video telegram, a video saying happy birthday. You can send it over to the Basement Surge at outlook.com. And of course, for more Basement Surge content, head on over to basementsurge.com. We have an official website. All the links to everything we spoke about today is down in the show notes below. Links to Chris's show, links to mine, and everything he's doing, even with Christine. Can't forget about her. She's awesome. All right, everybody. I'll see you next week.
Let's go. Turn up the volume. From the basement of the Empire State, this is the Basement Surge.
3.